Hello and welcome to another Ancient Minecraft video. We are still in Durrington walls, which to be honest could probably take me quite a few videos to get all done. Um, we are at a place in Durrington walls that I've labelled the West House. Now Durrington walls was a huge settlement. It was about 500 metres across in roughly circular, and a lot is known about it. I was going to show you the map a minute. So you're at the westmost house here. What I did was I used the map with the X and Y coordinates to figure out where the western, north, south, and east house would be, so I could have kind of rough limits set for it. And then what I thought I would do is I would build, roughly speaking, again. Let's just look at the big map. I would build a kind of cross of houses first, and then fill it out to make a circle because it's so big, it's kind of hard to get a handle on. As I say, we know quite a bit about Durrington walls because of the research that has been done. Um, and they've excavated some, like a handful of houses, and have done geophysics over a lot more of the area. And based on this, I've kind of invented a series of houses and copied and pasted them in. They're not 100% sure where all the houses were or how big the whole thing was. I do have to say one thing before I carry on, actually. Looking at the leaf roof of my house swaying and looking at the grass, the children and I have been saving up for a graphics card, and the day has finally arrived and we bought it. It's a lovely GeForce 950 with 2 gig of RAM, in case you're wondering roughly what that looks like. We're now running a very healthy frame rate. As you can see, we've got, I think, a 22 block distance, we've got shaders running, we've got clouds, and it is generally absolutely lovely. Now what I'm going to do is, while I'm talking, I'm going to look at my map and I'm going to track around to the east and I'm going to keep walking. Yeah, as I was saying, they've geophysicsed a lot of Durrington walls, and as well as geophysics, they've also excavated some of the houses. That gives us a rough idea. So there's a kind of cross of houses across here. As you can see, there's some more coming up now. And I'm having a quick look at the map while I run as well, because as well as the houses, yeah, that bit to the south is a bit of a fail on the world painter. I need to flatten that out. As well as the houses, there's quite a lot known about the probably wooden circles that were dotted all over Durrington walls as well. So I'm thinking, if I'm going to angle up towards this village here, if I put in, like, really high grass, if I put in clusters of houses, and if I put in the existing standing circles, like here, as we go, then that'll kind of give me a framework to hang the rest of it about. So here's a really massive circle. I'm not quite sure what that was for. And there's another kind of half circle over here that I've made out of totem poles. And there are still more I've got on a map. Yeah, that's kind of open to the west, and there's another one over there. You can see with my lovely shaders and render distance, you can actually get a kind of feeling for what it would have been like to be here. Now this is a bit where I think World Painter must have had a bit of a funny 5 minutes, because it's just really horrible. At some point I'm going to walk all over that with a shovel and flatten it out a bit. So here's another little cluster of houses. Now I'm explaining what I've done with the houses. Again, using partly the archaeology that exists, and also I've got a campfire mod, which is quite lovely. So if you look in, they've all got campfires and beds in, which is nice. There's a place in Scotland called Skara Brae, which was all stone houses which are preserved of about the same era, roughly speaking. I'm still going east, lovely. And it seems when the Neolithic man had large settlements, they didn't have like streets and, you know, branches off and nice rows of houses. They seem to have like clusters of houses like this. So that's what I've tried to replicate here. You can see I've got 3 or 4 basic designs of houses with turf roofs and thatched roofs and different planks and stuff. And the other thing they had was communal farming. And this is going to get noisy, so we'll just have a quick look. So here I've got a huge pen full of a mixture of ox and cattle, and a long, I need to put a couple more fence gates in it actually to make it into a long entryway, because, why do I keep pressing Q? Right, let's fly over this. Because they're always doing research at Durrington walls. It's a really exciting time. This is actually another round house, and most of them were square apparently. And this is the east house, so that's roughly east to west over it. I'm going to get away from the cows because it's a bit noisy. And yeah, what they found about Neolithic man is that he lived in clusters of houses, and a lot of the farming was communal. So what I've done is I've built, this is kind of partly a homage to Minecraft as well. So I built like a kind of traditional Minecraft farm with different kind of crops, with the the split logs and the water and everything. Um, but they had huge barbecues, and when they had the barbecues, the cows that were there. Here's our good old. That's not the southern circle. That's yet another circle. The southern circle is over there. And when they had their barbecues, the cows actually came from all over the country. So people were driving cows hundreds of miles here and then killing them and having a huge open air barbecues. Um, right, so here's the completed southern circle that we saw in the last video. And so you can start to get a sense. I mean, I'm nowhere near finishing it yet. Here are some of the houses that were talked about in archaeology. Up here are some really high status houses with ditches and banks around them. And there's a smaller one here. Actually, I had a bit of a revelation this morning. I'm going to go back to my mod and change it again and change a fence into a palisade, because they had a lot more of a palisade. A lot of them, like where's it gone? Like this here, where I've put the wooden blocks around it. That should actually be a palisade, which should be more like a fence, but not an open fence like a Minecraft fence, but quite an enclosed one. Now, if we have a quick look on the map, you can see here that we've got these houses. Actually looking is better than the map, because the way we are looking past there is another wooden circle. So it's all. I'm really happy with the way it's all starting to come together. I'm using, I think it's Dr. Meep's shader pack at the moment. Actually, I can show you and go and have a look. Mr. Meep's shaders, version 5. And they're quite nice. And while we're talking about shaders, I will just very quickly, I love our new graphics card, it really does help. I will very quickly pop down here and look at that. It's not, I was using the, as you can see on my screen, I was using the SEUS shaders, but I found them a bit kind of plasticky and a bit over bright and a bit unnatural, whereas look at that water. That's just absolutely lovely, and the reflections, and I can't remember where the sun is. The sun is round. Yep, so that's what I'm doing at the moment. I'm making an east-west cross of houses, and I'm filling in a lot of the circles, and then I'll make a north-south cross of groups of houses. I also need to scatter some farms in between, and then I'll kind of flesh it out to a circle. And then unfortunately, when I've done the village, I'll make a save of it and save the map so people can download it if they want, and then I'll have to get rid of some of it and build an absolutely enormous ditch and bank around it. Which, well, partly it's a bit kind of, oh my god, all that work and it's gone, but it's what actually happened there. The ditch and bank definitely cut over some of the house circles, so it definitely came afterwards. I'll probably leave the village as a much more kind of controlled village encircled by its ditch and bank. Now, the other thing I've been doing while I've been doing this and saving up for the graphics card, and as I hope you can't hear too badly, I've had a really bad cold. Over half term, I was looking after the kids, as I always do. Here's another house over here. I can't remember what this one's doing here, actually. Well, this might be the south house, actually. Has it got a sign on it? I think this is the southernmost house. Let's get rid of that tall grass. Yep. So again, if we look on the map, that's the south house. And now, while I'm talking, if I fly and go north from here, you'll start to get a sense of the scale of this place. So all of this is going to have to be villages. There's another wooden circle. And I haven't even put Woodhenge in yet, which is the famous one. Yeah, while I was looking after the children over half term, I was downstairs playing on the Xbox. And being me, I thought the natural thing to do on the Xbox is going to be to try and build a stone circle. And I actually found that really instructive, because I was in survival as well, not creative, so I couldn't fly. And what you have to do is you have to start from scratch. The first thing I did was map out, oh yeah, here we come, actually right to the edge of my world, and for the north house. So all of this has to be filled in with houses. While I'm talking, I'm going to wander back over to the river, because it looks nice. Yep. First of all, I mapped out the whole land, because Xbox lands aren't that big. Once I had it all mapped out, I had to find a nice flat bit of plains to build my stone circle on, with good sight lines, and then I had to gather materials. And all the while I was doing this, I had to find somewhere to live, and had to make sure I had enough food, and make sure I could get, things like sandstone, because you haven't got chalk on the Xbox. And make sure that I had, a good supply of earth and somewhere I could make enough Oh God, that's horrible. Somewhere that I could make enough shovels and axes to chop down trees, and it really did bring home to me how much it's not just a question of, oh yeah, 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 we'll put a stone circle in here. In Stone Age times, and I know it's a bit kind of weird to compare Minecraft to Stone Age times, but you know, you'd have had to do all of that. They would have had to have known their area, they would have had to found a flat bit, they would have had to actually keep finding food and keep living. Oh no, let's not do that. Yeah, they would have had to have found food, they would have had to have carried on living, you know, protecting themselves from not monsters, but like wild animals, and all the while making shovels and axes. Yeah, so it suddenly occurred to me that it would have been a huge undertaking, and to come back to where we started, that's probably what Durrington Walls is here for. It's probably here because, you know, you need a village full of people. If people aren't actually actively hauling stones around and building them, they would be, you know, turning antler bones into pickaxes, making shovels, making food, growing food, herding cows, you know, all the kind of background things. And the final thing I noticed when I was working on it is that I've got really used to being in creative on the PC and having the ability to just fly and check and make sure that your circle's going in a straight line. There's a villager around here somewhere. Make sure that your circles are all going, you know, straight and you're not getting lost. It's much, much harder in survival. And obviously, oh, look at that, moon on the water. And obviously, you know, Stone Age man couldn't fly. He couldn't look up. So he'd have had to have had that real kind of overview to see exactly what he was doing. Anyway, that's about where I am at the moment. As I say, I will just very quickly actually go into minimap and waypoints, and I will pop over to Stonehenge because now, right, now I've got the graphics card and I can set the render distance out. You can like stand here and look at that with the moonlight and the shadows, and you can see right the way across. Actually, now I've built it, I might just get rid of some of these signs, then you can actually start to see how it would have looked. I'll probably leave the post in the middle just because I will need to measure out some other stuff later. But with my lovely new graphics card, even at night, you can actually, I mean, the render distance, and there's no chunks dropping in, and you can see right the way across it. And it is just lovely. So yeah, that's what I've been doing at the moment. I've been adding houses into Durrington Walls. I've been adding circles in. I think next time we come back, if I can get enough time with the computer, because obviously with the new graphics card, I'm fighting with all the children for control of the computer now. I should be able to... I thought there was one hiding behind here. Finish off Durrington Walls. So here we are at the southeast entrance by the look of it. And there, even with the render distance set out to 22, you can see the whole thing all spread out in front of you with shadows and waving grass. It's lovely. Anyway, that's my video for today. Thank you ever so much for watching. Yep, I am Graham. I'm the Ancient Minecraft. As I say, sorry, I've got a bit of a cold today, so I'm not on top form. Yep, please share, subscribe, tell your friends if you like it. Leave me a comment as well, because it's always nice to know what other people think. And I will finish off building Durrington Walls the village and be back with you soon. Thank you, goodbye.